So in this video, I'll be talking about how you can arrange your documents for your Canada study permit application, whether you're using the old portal or the new portal. Arranging your documents, I would say, is the holy grail of visa application, which means is one of the most important things as far as your visa application is concerned. So I have my notes. I'm looking at my notes so that I don't miss anything. So whether you're using the new portal or the old portal, this video is going to be for you. And you may ask, what are the major difference between the new and the old portal, and which should I use? Personally, I would say it is your preference. Whichever one that you desire and you like should be fine. It's your call, right? Primarily, the major difference is if you're using the old portal, you can upload up to 4 megabytes of files per upload, whereas in a new portal, you can only upload 2 megabytes of files per upload. So if you have tons of document to upload, and if you compress it to 2 megabytes, it will not be enough. I would say probably use the old portal. But if you don't have a lot of documents to compress, probably you should use the new portal. And if you really don't want to download forms and start filling and then, validate and upload again, the new portal should be better for you, because for that, you don't get to download any of the forms. You just fill it online. But for the old portals, you first have to download those forms, fill them, and then upload them. So individual differences. So let's talk about how you can arrange those documents. And one of the most important things to note about document arrangement is that it depends on individual profile, right? Naturally, there are some persons that have more documents compared to others, right? So I try as much as possible to give a bit of scenario for those that I know that are employed, or those that are, that you have a sponsor. It can be a sibling, your parent. I'll also talk about that. And then maybe you have a business and you're sponsoring yourself. So these are some of the things I will be talking about in this video. Normally, there are basic documents that are common for whether the old or the new portal. So I'll talk about those common documents. And then in between, I'll talk about the variations between the old and the new portal in each of the document upload. Number one thing is going to be the application forms, okay? Now, if you're using the new portal, you are not going to download these forms, but you still need to fill or respond to all of the questions that are going to be answering online. And then by the time if you pass one page and you save and you go to the next page, then that particular one is already saved. Even though you log out and you continue the next day, whatever you feel that's saved in the new portal is already done. Now, for the old portal, there are a lot of forms depending on whether you're applying the loan, whether you are applying for study permit, work permit, if your program is eligible for spousal work permit and you're including your spouse, or if you're including your children, all of those things matters. Now, let's talk about the application for study permit form. Okay, it's called the IMM 1294E. The other form is going to be the application for work permit outside of Canada. That is, if you're including your spouse in the application. If you're not including your spouse, you're not going to get this form. The other one is going to be family information form. That is compulsory for everybody. And then use of family representative form is basically for those that are included as family members in the application. So that form is basically to give them authorization to represent you in the application, because you will still be the primary applicant. Now, the IMM 1295E application for study permit form outside of Canada, it's a relatively straightforward form to fill, but there are a few, part of that form that you really need to take careful or, be considered about in terms of how you fill them. Number one, they're going to ask you about tuition, okay? In that box is going to be your 1 year tuition. Even though your program is 4 years, 3 years, fill in your 1 year tuition. Then they are going to ask for room and board. Technically, for that room and board, you can just fill in your, cost of living. If you're a single applicant, 20,635, which is the cost of living for a single applicant, you can put it there. And then there's going to be a place for others. Under that others, you can just fill in your travel cost. Travel cost, there is no specific amount for travel cost in the IRS website. Usually 3,000 to 5,000 should be reasonable for travel cost, or even less. Okay, I would say an average of 3,000 should be reasonable. The next part is going to be the funds available for my studies. So that one means how much are you showing? Okay, if you have scholarship, so it is the amount of your scholarship plus any additional funds that you're showing. If you don't have a scholarship, that is going to be the amount of funds that you are showing in your account plus the tuition deposit that you have paid. So if you're showing an equivalent of 40,000 Canadian dollars and you've also paid let's say 20,000, let's say 10,000 Canadian dollars for your tuition deposit, and the funds available for your stay is going to be 40 plus 10, that's going to be 50,000 Canadian dollars, okay? And then under the other part is going to be who is sponsoring you. If you're sponsoring yourself, you can put yourself. Then if you have somebody sponsoring you, can put others and put the name of the person sponsoring you. It can be uncle, niece, or whatever. Another thing, there might be cases where you're sponsoring, you're showing your own bank statement, and another person is also sponsoring you. In that case, you can still fill that others and then fill in myself plus, or myself and my uncle, or myself and my parents, or myself and my brother, depending on the scenario, you can fill that. Now, in the new portal, what they will ask you is, what is the fund available for your studies? In bracket, all years of studies. So if your program is 2 years, you're going to calculate the 1 year tuition and multiply by 2. Some programs will generously put the fee for the 2 years program on their website, so you can copy that. If not, multiply the 1 year program by 2, or make sure you find out what's the total cost of the program from the admin of the program. Then they also ask you room and board. Okay, room and board, they will put the bracket all years of studies for days. You're still going to fill in, if your program is 1 year, you are going to fill in 2 years of cost of living. But the catch is that even though you fill in that, I know the issue people have sometimes is that when you fill in all of the tuition and all of the cost of living, sometimes it might be above the funds that you have available for studies, which might be a little bit confusing and scary for people. But in situations like that, the most important thing is you take notice of is the fact that they only require you to show 1 year of tuition and 1 year cost of living. Even though you fill the 4 years, 2 years, it doesn't matter. They require you to show 1 year of tuition, 1 year of cost of living minimum. If you have paid tuition deposit for the first year, let's say half of it, you will be required to show half of the balance of the first year tuition and the cost of living. So that's going to be that first one. Now there's going to be the IMM 1295, the application for work permit outside of Canada, particularly if you apply with your spouse. Everything remains the same: name, date of birth, address, and other things. The only part that's a bit confusing for people is where they're going to ask you for the address of the employer. In this case, you don't have an employer because they're coming on an open work permit. Cases like this, you can just fill in job seeker or not applicable, right? They ask you the name of the employer. You don't know, right? Just put not applicable. Then they're going to ask you for the address of the employer. Now you're going to fill the province where your spouse or the primary applicant is studying, the city. In the address, you can just put not applicable. That should be fine. Now they'll ask you, what is the duration of this job? And you're not getting a job, right? Because this form is the same for those that are spousal up work permit and for those that are doing closed work permit. Maybe they've gotten job aims in Canada and you're outside of your country and you apply for work permit. Is the same thing for everybody. So for that duration, just fill in the duration of the study of your, the primary applicant, right? If it's your spouse, just put the day duration of the program. And then the other one is going to be for the children, right? Children will see if your child is above 5 years old, they're going to apply for study permit, right? If they are below 4 years old and below 4 or 5, they will need to apply for a visitor's visa. If they are applying for a study permit, they are basically they will require them to provide letter of acceptance. But because you are applying for a study permit, your child will not need, anyone that is below 18 years will not need letter of acceptance. You can just write a mini letter to say, oh, because I'm applying for study permit, and the IRS website said that your child, if one of the parents is applying, has a study or work permit, the child will not need to get a letter of acceptance. Just write a letter, upload it, okay? Now, for the children, it's almost going to be the same with your form, right? Then there will be a place they ask for employment, and your child hasn't worked, right? So in that case, just fill in the child's date of birth as the start of the employment and the end. That's just money, what I advise people to do. But, it's up to you. But that has always worked. There is really no fast rule about how to fill that. And then the place where they request for the name of a client, just put not applicable, put the country, and that's about it. And then if your child is under 5 years old and you apply for visa for your child, there's a place they're going to ask for the intended visit in Canada. For that particular place, just fill in who is your child visiting, put in your name. And in terms of the address, you don't know, you're just going to put in not applicable, or you put the city where you're going to be studying, and that should be fine. For the duration of your child's study permit and the visitor visa, if you want the child to follow you all through your program, they put the duration of your program. But if your spouse is following you and they're applying for only 2 weeks or 3 weeks, then put only the 3 weeks of stay. Okay? That's about that. And then, in terms of the document arrangement, I've talked about all of the forms, how to fill the forms and everything. In terms of the document arrangement, now, there are individual document uploads, and also there are bulk document upload. These are part of the application where you have to merge documents together. The individual document uploads, those ones are pretty much easy, right? Your letter of acceptance, upload that separately. They're going to require a proof of co-op if your program has internship. Usually your program, if your program has an internship, the admission letter will usually come with it will come first with your admission letter, and then there will be another 1-page letter to show for your internship. You can upload that under the proof of co-op, and then your international passport, individual upload as well. Digital photo, your passport photograph, usually on the white background. The specification is on the IRS website if you want to check that. But white background is usually the best option. And then, but this is only for the old portal. If you're using the new portal, you're not going to require the digital photo. Then proof of upfront medicals. If you've done your medicals, good and fine. You should get the one slip. You don't really need them to upload the result. They will see, if they view your phone number, they're going to see all of your results. So just upload that one medical slip. Then for those that apply as a family, they will need your marriage certificate, single upload. Then for the children, basically international passport, digital photo, birth certificate as proof of relationship. The other part is going to be the proof of means of financial support. This is really where you merge every document regarding funds together. People have asked, well, how do I really arrange this document? The most important thing is that there is no one size fits all in how to arrange the documents. Is based on individual profile and document. But whatever I'm going to be provided to you, just the template. You can do what suits you and what helps you to tell a good story. Just think about it. If you're having a conversation with somebody about the finances, what document will you tender first? What another document will you tender so that the person can follow sequentially? Especially the fact that the person is not able to ask you questions. Canada, they don't do interviews, so they cannot ask you, what is this? What is this? What is this? So it has to be clearly outlined so that when the person goes through them, they will understand your story. Now, in terms of arranging a document, one of the things I recommend or advise in the first thing is have a 1 to 2 page document that summarizes everything about your finances. Where the source of funds are coming from, who are those that are sponsoring you, how much is in your bank statement, what do they do, what are the source of funds. So outline everything in that 1 to 2 page. That sets the stage for them to go through the rest part of document, right? So if they see that, if they understand that, I think they are going through the other part of the document is easy to understand. Have that first, 1 to 2 pages reasonable. Then have your tuition deposit if you've already done that. Then for those that have scholarship, you can bring it here. And after that, if somebody is sponsoring you, can bring in letter of sponsorship. Okay. Yeah, then letter of sponsorship, affidavit of sponsorship. If you want to include that, it's also not compulsory, but it's good if you have it. Immediately after that, you should show the proof of relationship with the person that is sponsoring you. That is, if you have a sponsor. If you don't have a sponsor, you skip this. Usually the proof of relationship are usually birth certificate. Maybe if it's your father, mother, brother, sister, you should have birth certificate to show this relationship. Your own birth certificate and your siblings' birth certificate. If it is your parent, only your birth certificate is enough. And then their photo ID, very important. Never make that mistake of not including their photo ID. Very important to prove, their identity. And then the next thing is going to be employment-related documents or business-related documents, depending on your scenario. For employment, you need to put things like your original letter of employment, your pay slips, and then your letter of introduction and your ID card. If you don't have letter of introduction is basically the letter that says that you are currently working in the company. If you don't have that, make sure you have pay slips or pay stubs. You don't want to include only your employment that you got 2 years ago, and you think, there's a proof that I'm still working. That's not a proof. If you have pay stubs and old employment, that's fine. If you don't have pay stubs, I would say try to include at least your introduction of that, but getting pay stubs is important. If you don't have it, that's fine. Then the next part is going to be your business related documents for those that have a business. Now, the first thing to include is your company registration, whatever document that is for whatever country you're watching from. And then, most importantly, there should be a document attached to your company registration that shows you are the one that actually registered that company. If not, anybody can pick up a corporate affairs registration or business registration certificate and say, I'm the one that owns this business. You need to show that form that explains or state clearly who registered the business, as a board, and there should be a document regarding to that. And then, if possible, get a letter of introduction. You can write your own letter of introduction, right? Your company letterhead, and just introduce yourself. My name is so. I own this business. I've had this business for years. This is what this business is worth. This is what we do. I will be sponsoring myself. Okay. In cases where somebody else is sponsoring you, they can also introduce themselves. If they have a big business, the HRO or any other operational manager, whoever, can introduce them and say, hey, this person, so person is the CEO of this company. He has been a CEO since so time, and this is what his business is central, blah, blah, blah. That's very important. And then if you have ID card, also important to add. Another thing to add is just showing business registration is not a proof that your business actually makes money, right? That true. There are people that have business registered and they've not been active for the past 3 years. Okay. What are some of the things you need to show? If you can show pictures, fine. But I know there are some business like you're owning a restaurant, you're not necessarily show people eating. If you can snap the front of the restaurant with, let's say, the banner. Okay, this is very important for those that own business. If you can get a picture of the business, it's fine. But if it's really those that do services, you move up and down, that's why you don't have to show. It's not compulsory. But another important thing to show is invoices and receipts. This shows that your business is currently making money and buying things, and depending on the type of business that you do. This shows that your business is constantly active and all of these things. Another thing is that if you sold landed property for the purpose of this, you can also show the deed of sale, the document that they use to purchase the land, and then the document that they're using to sell the land. Make sure you show pictures of the land that are not compulsory. And then bank statements, or for those that can do what is called my bank statement, where you tell the bank to send the bank statement directly to the embassy, you can include only that. But I usually recommend, if your bank statement is not too, the file size is not too large, you can still include your bank statement along with your my bank statement, or you can do your my bank statement and just print out the first cover page of your account, so that by the time they look at the account, they can quickly see that one page that they correspond with whatever they are opening. And then the other part of the document arrangement is going to be the client information or the additional information. Now, for the new portal, they call it additional information. And under the old portal, it's called the client information. Generally is under that additional information. Now, this is where you include first your letter of explanation. Very important. I've talked about letter of explanation in my old videos. I'm also going to talk about them again. What should be your first document. In the letter of explanation, you can list the documents that you are including to the client information. Okay. And then you can also include your education credentials, certificate, transcript, your CV or resume, and any relevant pictures. You can include that. Any additional certificates that you have, if you have wedding photos that you want to have for those that are married, pictures with your children, family picture, any other document that the police report, any other document that you think is relevant to your application that is not related to funds, it should be included under the additional information. Now, when you upload the document in the additional information, it's going to show remove file or something like that. Okay, remove upload or something like that. That's normal. Okay, that's normal. It doesn't show in the other upload, but under the additional information, it's going to show that. Don't be scared. Then, lastly, if your file is too huge, the size is more than 8 MB, 10 MB, more than 4 MB, you compress the document. There are multiple softwares you can use online to compress your PDF. Make sure it's very clear when you compress your document, and then upload them. Make sure you look at them over and over and over again. Once everything is submitted, now you can make a payment, you submit, and then wait to get the letter of biometrics if you're applying for the first time, and then do your biometrics, and then wait for the decision. If you get a medical request after you submit your application, it's a huge percent, I'll say 95% chance that they will approve your application, because if they don't want to approve the application, for the most part, they will just send you a refusal letter. They want a request for medicals. Okay. Sometimes you may put in your medicals, and they also request medicals again. Sometimes it can just be an error. So in that case, you send your medicals via what's this thing called, web form. Send it to them and write a short letter of explanation to them and tell them that, I did medical before, I also got requests, blah, 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 this is medicals, and that should be about it. If you've enjoyed this video so far, why don't you consider clicking the like button, and also don't forget to subscribe so that whenever new videos are released, you'll be the first person to get notified. And also let me know in the comment section, where are you watching from? Which part of the visa application are you now? Are you looking at your funds or letter of explanation? Which of them do you think is more challenging? Just put a comment in the comment section. I'll try to respond. If you have any question regarding anything about Canada, visa, study permit and anything, put it in the comment section. It has to do with admission. What I talked about it in this video. Don't just put everything. If you don't have anything to say, please just put in where you're watching from. You good? I will really appreciate that. And then tell me the school where you got admission into and the course. There may be some other person that got admission into similar course. And, let's build the community in the comment section. Once again, thank you so much for watching this video. And lastly, if you're looking for somebody to talk to one-on-one as regarding, News of Canada journey to give you, a professional consulting, I run a one-on-one mentorship program. Check out there's going to be a link in the description, www.GradNext.com. Check out my website, reach out to me. I'll be glad to help you in this journey. Once again, thank you so much for watching this video. I'll see you in the next video. Cheers.